Andrew is passionate about building better methods for how we interact with our world. He started Glia Health with the explicit purpose of actually bridging the gaps in the healthcare industry with specific attention to the brain health industry. Let's welcome Andrew on 10 Minutes of Hiring Wisdom. Hi, Andrew. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Manal?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for joining us. So, Andrew, how's life been? Can you tell us a little about yourself before we actually jump onto your company?
Sure. Yeah. Obviously, my name is Andrew Denton, and I had founded my company, Glia Health, after getting my master's in applied neuroscience and cognition. And then I also got my undergraduate in the same degree. And I just really love learning about the brain, the anatomy of it. I think that um, the 12 inches that occupy the space above our shoulders is just so fascinating. So I'm blessed and fortunate that I get to do what I love, and I'm always learning something new every day. So
That
can't
sounds
complain.
wonderful. So, I mean, as in, like, a lot of people who usually are interested in like the brain and everything usually pursue something in psychiatry or psychology. What wanted you to start your own company, specifically Glia Health, as opposed to going into something that's traditional where people help in like dealing with mental health illnesses and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I started Glia Health because I wanted to honestly do more and give more. I had originally wanted to go be a physician and pursue the MD route and be a neurologist and go on that pathway. But I realized that, I was only able to impact, so many lives in the exam room. And I was like, if I start a company, I can build something that's bigger than myself and that's bigger than who I can be and really bring a team together, bring people together, and really solve some of the bigger problems that exist in the current healthcare space. There's a lot of gaps in our care, and I don't think that they can be solved by just one person. I think it's going to take a lot of us working together to hopefully elevate the American healthcare system to what I believe it can be. Um, so I have high aspirations for what Glia is aiming to be and what we're going to do. So
I mean, it's usually the first step that's the hardest, and you've already taken that in as an initiative to do something different and bridge the gaps. So I think you're on the right path. Hopefully, things will work out for you.
I appreciate that. Yeah,
Of
it's
course.
definitely was the hard part.
Yeah.
There's yeah.
So, can you, as in, like, you did specifically like mention a little about your company. So, can you tell us about what your company specifically does?
Yeah, sure. So we're currently in the process of developing some diagnostic tools to help physicians better diagnose patients over telehealth. And so if you've ever used telehealth before, it's a very subjective experience. You maybe have 7 to 10 minutes over a video call with a doctor, and they kind of ask you very subjective, qualitative questions. But it's just by the very nature of the interaction, it's not a very objective experience. So the doctor doesn't have the ability to check your heart rate or listen to your breathing, or physically touch you and feel how your joints or your bones are reacting to him. So or her. So the Glia Health is hoping to bridge that gap in care that exists in the telehealth space by providing real hard data through diagnostic tools, and that can be accomplished through like a phone application. We've got some other plans in the future, but yeah.
That sounds wonderful and exciting. So, hopefully, as in, like, I'm excited to see how it turns out specifically for your company. So, Andrew, are you, as in, like, with everything that's going on with the pandemic and everything, are you guys hiring? Are you looking for specific skills? And, like, what kind of skills are you looking for if you are?
We actually are hiring. We are hiring for a couple. Excuse me, I'm sorry. There's a window
No
open.
worries.
But we are hiring. We're looking for some AI developers, people who are skilled in machine learning, computational modeling, computer vision, particularly. And we're also looking for some software engineers to help develop our applications. And then lastly, I'm looking to build out a sales team to then start doing some market research and kind of achieve some of the sales goals that we're looking to meet in 2021.
Okay, so a lot of roles. And like with the pandemic and everything, are you open to global hiring, or are you looking for people specifically within the US right now?
Specifically within the US, I want to
Okay.
keep the hiring to the United States, primarily because I think that, especially if they have a healthcare background, they're more intimately aware of the issues that affect the citizens of America with our healthcare system. That's not to say in the future we might open it up to more international candidates, but right now I think it's in our best interest to kind of keep it within the confines of the U.S. space.
Okay, perfect. And so you specifically mentioned about skills and everything. Do you think your company has a specific organizational culture in which more people are likely to thrive as opposed to others?
Good question. I think I built our culture pretty much on empathy and really having a desire to help and compassion. And I think that extends not only from uh, our company towards our customer, but I think that your employee is, in my case, my employee is my first customer. And so I want to be empathetic and compassionate towards them to make sure that their needs are met, whether those are financial, whether those are relational, any sort of like mental health they might need. So that's kind of the first thing I do is I approach any candidates with a sense of empathy and compassion. How can I better help their life as they come on board the company? So I look for candidates specifically who have empathy and compassion for their fellow neighbor, and for people who are also honest and have integrity, because I think that is paramount, especially in the healthcare system where we have to um, be so attentive to our customer and our patient. Ultimately, uh,
That
it's a
sounds like a wonderful culture that you would want to work in, specifically because I think so many people usually forget that we're human first before actually promoting something. So I think
yeah.
working in a culture where you're surrounded by people who are empathetic would definitely be a lovely environment to work and grow with, because at the end of the day, you would feel like you're a part of something where you matter.
Mhm.
And I think that would be definitely something that's wonderful to work into. So that sounds like a wonderful culture. So thank you for sharing that.
No problem.
So Andrew, can you, as in like, just like if there, as in like you're a CEO, you founded your own company. According to you, what is something that makes candidates more likely to succeed when they're applying for jobs, as opposed to people who just like go onto LinkedIn, click on easy apply, and just apply to multiple jobs? What, according to you, is something that would increase someone's chances of getting their dream job if they do apply to a specific company? For example, Glia Health. What is something according to you?
I would give two. I would give two things. The first being that when a candidate applies through Easy Apply or some other method, right, and they submit the resume to the company for purview, unique resumes really capture my eye. So I recently went through a hiring sprint where I went through a lot of UX designers, and I got resumes that were visually appealing. I got some that were just a Word document. I got some that were used infographics and pie charts and all sorts of different things to kind of illustrate that person's skills. And I was really impressed with just the creativity of how these designers were able to create their resumes. And so, that wasn't the only qualifier, but I think that having a unique resume, even outside of the design field, even if you're a sales or a marketer or a developer, if you find a unique way to present your skill set on your resume, that's going to immediately capture the attention of the hiring manager. So I think the first thing is just really nail your resume and also understand who you're talking to with your resume. There are different resumes that work well for different jobs, and so if you structure it to that job, it'll help you. And then secondly, I think that the other thing that really helps to capture my eye, certainly as a CEO, but operating in the hat of a HR recruiter, right, is if the candidate really believes in the company. And so they then start to follow our social medias, they start to like and share our posts, and they try and bring value to the company even before they come on board. That tells me that, oh, this person really believes in our message and believes in what we're doing. And so the fact that they're also now taking that second step and applying to the company tells me that they are serious about wanting to work here and serious about providing value to the company. So they can ultimately provide value back to the customer, obviously. So
Okay, so like that would be interesting, but then again, like how likely are you to notice someone who is sharing your posts, who are liking your posts and everything? How can you make yourself really stand out as opposed to people that just naturally like your posts and everything because they're interested in your company, as opposed to people who would want to work with your company?
I think that I'm fortunate, I guess you can look at it this way, in that my company's sort of small and so I can take the time to kind of deep dive into a candidate's background and what they're involved with.
Mhm.
So, if I get a LinkedIn easy apply to a job post, I can click on their LinkedIn profile and see if they've
Mm.
followed the company's LinkedIn page. Or I can see if they've interacted with any of the company's posts, right? So I have that ability. Not every company obviously has that ability, um, but I also think that I guess if a candidate really, really wants to work someplace, they can also, if they happen to find the social medias and they follow them, they can also DM a company on Instagram. I think with the rise of social media and the rise of the digital age, there's so many ways to get involved with a company or a person that you want to, um, work for. And I've heard of a couple stories where people would just DM, um, you know, like Gary Vee, for instance, and they will ask to join his social media team through a DM, and they provide him with a video that they made for him before they even work there. Say, hey, we made this social media reel for you that we want you to use, and this is like a job application, right? And he's hired people like that. So I think that there are many different ways to get hired by a company, get noticed. Um, Resume is one and probably the main one, but I wouldn't undervalue the effect that a candidate's presence on a company's social media has.
Okay, so those were good tips. Thank you so much for sharing that, Andrew. If people do reach out to me regarding whether they want to work with your company, I will definitely forward them to you. But thank you. It was a pleasure learning from you and about your company. Our time is up.
It was a pleasure as
Thank
well.
you.
Thank you so much, Manel.
Of course. Thank you.